Hard to measure where a man's life takes a swerve from the common to the uncommon. For Lockwood Thatcher, it may well have been the moment that he stared the girl right in the eye and wondered when they were going to burn her alive. He stood as though struck dumb, right there in the middle of the shit-stinking streets of Bransport, across from the gated courtyard of the House of Draids. His stomach was all slithering eels, and he couldn't tell if it was from too much drink the night before, or from the image he had in his head of that girl screaming while they rendered her down to a mound of ash. Strange how you can know that something is coming from 1,000 glimpses of it in the distance, and still be surprised when it flattens you. This was a reckoning, and it had been a long time coming. Every evening at dusk he'd glimpsed it coming, when the city's burners started belching smoke, and Lockwood would find himself cringing as he walked through flurries of sootfall, wondering if he would hear the screams of the Draids as they burned, wondering if he'd recognize his daughter's screams in among them. Yes, he'd seen it coming then, and he'd ignored it. His head pounded, sweat tickled his eyebrows, smelling of barley spirits, mouth sour and gums tingling from too much scaife. He didn't know how long he stared at her, that slim, pale face, with her white blonde hair hanging limp about it. She sat so still, robed in white like she might have been just as much stone as the bench she sat upon. His Libby would have been about the same age. Was she still alive too? All he wanted in that moment was to escape, but he couldn't seem to feel his feet beneath him, couldn't tear his eyes away from the girl. And everything had gone dark around the edges and over bright in the center, like he was peering through a long black tunnel. He felt like he'd stepped into a trap. He'd been a damn fool for coming this way. Had, in fact, been avoiding this street for a very long time, terrified of exactly this. A horrendous squeal made him jerk and spin to look behind him, his shaking hand slipping to the long knife and hand axe in his belt. A woman stood a few paces from him, cranking a water wheel, brass keening against brass. He blinked as a bead of sweat slipped into his eye. Why was he suddenly sweating so much? And why couldn't he seem to catch his breath? As the woman finished cranking, the pipes began to rattle. Lockwood remembered a time not so long ago when you had to walk to the well for your water. Now fucking lengths of tarnished brass criss-crossed walls of wattle and daub, like cheap baubles on an old whore, and there were water wheels on damn near every corner. Water gushed from the spout, making Lockwood flinch despite himself, and poured into the woman's bucket, just as easy as you please. The woman spotted Lockwood staring and trembling. She frowned at him, then looked away. A sudden geyser of rage blotted out his mind, and he almost screamed at her. "Is it fucking worth it?" He barely kept it from coming out, issuing a strange gagging noise instead.